I'm really excited to announce this next segment we got going on because we got one of one of a kind on the podcast here to
Yeah,
meet the
these
team.
keep getting better and better on mine. I like that we're getting into like
Better than me.
Yeah, 100% better than you, without a
Jesus.
doubt, not even a question.
Can you believe that?
But we're getting into like the nitty gritty of like the employees now. Now we're like out of the we're past like the first lap of our employees, so now we're getting into like the deeper the realm of employees who have been here. Maybe I think Kody. Well, I just gave it away, but our next employee, Kody, he's been with the company now, I think 2 years, maybe going on 3 years at this point. So yeah. I mean, let's just bring him on. We got meet the team segment. Kody Staskey, thanks for joining us today, buddy.
Yes.
What's going on, boys? Thank you for having me.
Decked out in the DT gear.
Yeah.
Love the rep.
Came prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. They when you put me on the calendar to show up today, I figured I'd have to have something blue on.
I'm not gonna lie. I came around the corner earlier and you were walking towards me. I thought I saw like the lowercase D on your sweatpants. I thought you delivered that branded blue sweatpants for a second.
I wish. I really wish. And I hope that Jim sees this one too, because that's something we're definitely going to
joggers, some DT joggers.
We could use some joggers, some sweatpants, even some shorts, honestly, for everybody out west or down south where it's a little warmer.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we're helping people with the top, not the bottom. Deliver that socks. People love collecting socks.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Whatever we can do, whatever we can throw our brand on, honestly, to get it out there and get it in the eyes of the public, I think it's only going to benefit.
That's without a doubt. Without a doubt. Agree with that 100%. But let's get this conversation going a little bit. And we like to start with everyone here on the Meet the Team segment and kind of get a backstory of where you were before Deliver That, then get into your beginnings with Deliver That, and then what's been happening since then. And you have I won't call it strange because it's not strange. It's very common. But we're going to dive back. It's 2022 now. So this is a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2012. You just graduated from Glen Oak. Yeah, did you know I was going to bring this up?
No.
You just graduated from Glen Oak High School, and it's June, maybe, a month or two after graduation, and we're in Myrtle Beach.
When you say "were,"
well, so this is what we're going to get into. So pre-Deliver That, I don't know if this is why I wanted to ask. I don't know if you were aware at the time, but I was not aware at the time that we actually, Kody and I, and then maybe Jim and Darian crossed paths on senior trip in Myrtle Beach 2012.
Wow.
We stayed in the same, it was called the Catalina.
The Catalina, legendary place if you go to Myrtle Beach, by the way.
Oh, wow. Now they know all about you.
So we all stayed in the same like facility. And I'm sure, I don't know if I think you told D upon the interview process that you remembered meeting him there. But because, I mean, he sticks out like a sore thumb. He's 6'4", 320 pounds. He's a massive, college lineman. So pretty easy to remember that guy. But I definitely didn't remember meeting you there. I'm sure we shared a few beers, had a good time. But do you remember those times? Do you remember seeing Darian down there or anyone from the company?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first off, shout out to Glen Oak and Jackson High School, two great places here in Canton, Ohio.
Threw Jackson in there.
But to touch on senior trip in the least, I mean, I'm almost lost for words. Like Ben alluded to, it's been about a decade now, and man, there were some good times, a lot of good times that we remember, and then some that, unfortunately we just do not. But
you may not, yeah.
Absolutely. No, it was a great time. And, and I don't think we all formally knew each other before senior trip there. But, I mean, playing football against you guys growing up through high school.
We should have referenced that as well.
No, that was always a good time, being competitive on the field. And then look at us 10 years later. I mean, we're competitive in the office, still having fun and going after it. So.
Yeah, it's wild. I just wanted to bring that up solely to point out things that happen where people are in your lives and then you reintroduce yourselves to them later on, and then you have I don't think we knew about that until we were in the office one day and we were like, yo, you remember senior trip at Myrtle Beach? And Kody was like,
yeah,
wait, I was down there. And then you get down this rabbit hole of a conversation and then you're like, oh shit, we were literally in the same place, literally 2 doors down from each other. Probably we're at the same parties every night. So that kind of stuff, like those connections to me are just like very wild to even bring up in conversation.
But you're smart not to go into detail about what happened on that
Well,
trip.
yeah, we're obviously obviously not going to go too far.
Yeah,
down
that's
this
one
story.
thing we can't do. But like Ben said, I mean, the fun that we had down there, whether it was throwing the football on the beach, chasing after the girls down there. I mean, it was
Interviewing for
It was definitely a
jobs,
blast.
taking care of the elderly.
Yeah,
Definitely
helping
wasn't thinking
people
about the
across
future.
street.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
But I just wanted to touch on that very briefly there. But so we're gonna flash forward then. So about 2012 is when that happened. We're going about 7 years forward, I believe. We're all back in Canton, Ohio, obviously. Tristan's with the company. I'm with the company. At the time, I believe you're selling insurance. You can correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I worked for a marketing agency, more or
Marketing,
less,
right.
and what my position was to do is actually to market for a insurance brand. So I did that for about 2 or 3 years, again with another buddy that we're all pretty close with as well from high school.
Right.
So that was a good time, but it now that I look back on it, I'm definitely thankful for everything I learned there and how it's been able to help me in my new role here at Deliver That.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to get into kind of how you got introduced to Deliver That.
Yeah.
Because I like a lot of the previous people we've talked to, they're friends from high school, little brothers of friends like Tristan, or family friends, things of that nature. You were kind of one of the original employees who was outside of the initial bubble of like the Jackson High School.
Who's still here?
Right. Who's still here, but you're still Canton, Ohio native. So how did you hear about Deliver That? Do you remember? Was it like a job posting? Was it a someone in your ear like, hey, this company is up and coming, or what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was working with another gentleman by the name of Briar at my previous job before
Briar.
here. And we were actually doing the same thing more or less there. And when our job started to slow down, both of us were kind of looking for newer opportunities out there. So I know that Briar actually knows John Zeno, one of the
Right.
co-founders here of Deliver That, was playing basketball with him on the side, all that good stuff. But that's kind of how this opportunity got put into my ear. Briar and I developed a pretty good relationship at our previous job, and he heard about this opening here, interviewed for it, and decided it really wasn't good for him, or it just wasn't his niche for whatever reason. So he had reached out to me. Once I had done a little bit of research, I obviously saw Darian, Jim, and a couple other people. So I wanted to hop at the opportunity. So that's kind of how I heard about this, and the rest is history.
And I remember those days, Kody, when after you got hired and trained, it was just me and you in the office, 6:30 in the morning for
First ones.
I mean, what, for like almost a year, right?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
drank
that
a whole
was
pot of coffee before
Whole pot,
anybody else
just me
got
and you,
here.
just a pot of coffee. We weren't like, we were still busy those days, but we weren't as busy as we were. So me and you, we had a good time in those mornings. 6:30
Absolutely.
on the dot every day. They
Absolutely.
never make any more.
Yeah, I was about to say that's just not happening.
Nope, not anymore.
That's for sure.
No.
But talking about that, when you originally started, so you're originally brought on for a sales role, and then we needed help in dispatch. It was one of the most important parts of the company, and also was a place where we needed assistance at. So you kind of got thrown into that role for a long time before you kind of really transitioned into majority-wise business development role.
Right.
And you still do some logistics, obviously, quite a bit, honestly, with how busy we've been. But what was that like? And how did you feel about that transition and taking on that extra role during that time?
Yeah, so when I was actually going through the whole interview process, my final interview was actually with Darian, who's now the CEO here at Deliver That. And when I was going through that with him, he kind of told me, like, hey, this is where we want you to be in, a sales type role with, leading the accounts, overseeing the accounts, our partners, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he also made me aware that everybody that starts here at Deliver That has to start on the logistics end of the business and go through dispatching to really learn the ins and outs, right? To really see what a day can be like for a driver, learn their pain points, learn how to talk to them, etc. So wearing multiple hats inside the company has definitely been a challenge, but at the end of the day, I think it has ultimately made me a better person, a better coworker, and etc. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that it was put on my plate. I did my best with it, and hopefully, everybody can see that.
Absolutely. And do you actually, I'm curious then, do you agree with that perspective that Darian gave you, that starting there in the logistics was probably, do you think it was a cornerstone a foundation for you to like succeed at this company? Do you think that was true?
100%, 100%. Yeah, I think that really helped me learn the ins and outs. And like I just said, what a day of a driver can really look like. Learn their pain points, see where they're coming from, kind of put yourself in their shoes. I know another thing here at Deliver that we do when we're onboarded to be an employee here is actually take a delivery ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Once again, and I know you guys have done it as well, right? Maybe you have a delay at a restaurant, or maybe you can't find parking at the drop-off location, whatever that may be, but it just ultimately at the end of the day helps you understand what the driver can and possibly is going through, as well as how to handle that.
Yeah. But before we go to this next question, me and him were just talking about before the podcast. If anybody knows that, right, it's got to be Kody. Remember when he would drive up to Macedonia all the time to deliver for Chick-fil-A because we couldn't find a driver? Maybe that was a stretch and probably not something we would do today. But you were so invested in your account and getting it done that you drove 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's a trek up 77, to Macedonia. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But good old Ric Flair up there, or Rick, he really appreciated
Rick-fil-A.
Rick Fil-A, that's what we
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we love you, Rick. Shout out to you too.
Yeah, shout out Rick. But I also wanted to touch on too within the dispatch department, because I specifically struggled with this like throughout my tenure within dispatch, and Kody is someone who I think a lot of people have harped on, which is like he's someone who you can really look to, who handles conversations very well. And like if a driver calls in very upset or a partner calls very upset, like Kody is like the one like rock of a person who like he can get beaten and battered in a conversation, and you'll see him standing over there and like his tone doesn't change, his demeanor doesn't change, like everything he goes through the same thought processes, the same ways to facilitate the issue, handle the problem, and get them the best solution. So I think I just want to give you major props for that, because personally I've always struggled with that, getting very frustrated with drivers, not understanding why this is such a huge problem on their end, and then they call in, get so upset, and then it's very easy to like reciprocate that energy and in turn get upset with them. But he's someone who's always been like very still, very like peaceful on the phone, like a very calming voice I feel like to talk to. So just props to you on that, man.
No, I really appreciate that. It truly does mean a lot coming from my peers, the people that I'm more or less going to war with every day. So thank you for that. And I gotta give a huge thank you to Darian. I mean, that the open door policy that he carries here at Delivered, that, whether it's a question or you just need a tip or you want to pick his brain on how to be better at something or how to word something in a more professional manner, he's given me the blueprint, opened up his brain and dumped knowledge on me in every way I can be thankful for. So thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And also, I want to mention is you're not afraid to give the partners or even the drivers the truth. If somebody messes up or somebody does a great job, even you're going to bluntly tell them like, this is what you did. Like, this does not look good. And then on the other end, when it comes to your accounts, you got to clean up the mess.
Right.
And it's not easy to do. And I got major respect for that, because I 100% telling you, I know for a fact I could not do that. That's just not my personality.
Absolutely. No, it can definitely be struggling sometimes. And sometimes, I think the majority of the time it's really just being able to swallow your pride and say, hey, we messed up. We're going to own it 100%. How can we make it right? But in those conversations, I always try to take a breath and think back, and it's what comes to my mind is it's not exactly always what you say, but how you say it, right? How are you going to deliver this message? What is your demeanor and what is your tone going to be like, so that when the person that you're speaking to receives your message, you want them to take that in a positive way.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That is a great point. It is a very good point. And I do just want to kind of continue down the business development role. So like we said, you kind of came in, got thrown into more of a dispatch role for a pretty heavy amount of time, probably longer than anticipated, I would imagine, for yourself and maybe even people within the company. But then obviously, things loosen up. We maybe brought on more people and you kind of got more into that actual business development role. So now you're reaching out to prospective partners, you're handling actual live partners. You got Zoe's, Takaya, Earl Enterprises, the list goes on and on and on, especially with these new partners you're still facilitating business with. But initially you're doing a lot of prospecting. So, we're going on websites, we're seeing I don't know what you were searching at the time. Maybe you want to give the people tips and tricks for prospecting, but you're looking at top 50 businesses, seeing who does the most catering. You're reaching out to those businesses. And then from there, as COVID kind of hit and people needed a delivery service, and so it kind of flipped the game on its head. So now it wasn't like, hey, we need business. It was more like people need a delivery service. So it was kind of more, now people are reaching out to us. So it kind of took away the function of you having to prospect and get that business a little less organic. Well, it was less organic in the beginning. Now it became organic because people were now reaching out to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for starters, what was prospecting like for you in the beginning? And do you miss that function of the job outlook now? I think as of late, we're actually going to start getting into more prospecting. I believe we've had recent conversations about that. But as of the past year or so, it's been kind of on the back burner. So is that something you missed?
Yeah, so the prospecting, the outreach, the cold calling, the scouring the internet, LinkedIn, different social media platforms out there. That is definitely something that I miss and something I still do to this day, just not to the capacity that I was.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben, I think that you hit it right on the head, man. Before we were in a position where it was, hey, let's try to formulate as much business as we can. COVID hit. We started to gain business, almost as silly as it sounds, right? A lot of people were shutting down and going out of work, and it just seemed like our work was increasing. So
right.
We had to adapt. We had to adapt like we do all the time here in this industry. It hardly ever stays the same for a certain amount of time. So being able to more or less put the ball in our court and say, hey, instead of us going out there and looking for all these potential partners, these partners are now coming to us, right? They needed us. So it was nice to know that, hey, number one, our service works. Number two, our people are happy with our service. And what we were finding is these people were reaching out to their friends in the industry who as well were experiencing troubles with getting drivers, having delivery drivers to deliver their meals, etc. And a lot of referrals were just coming our way. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that we have a heck of a team, an all-star team here to facilitate, and help out these people and these restaurants, these brands whenever they need us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was
pretty cut, sums it up.
Yeah,
right?
pretty cut and dry. Yeah, that was a great response. Great response. I don't know if T, do you have anything? I have a closing question that's kind of off the books here, but do you have anything we want to talk about Deliver That
by
related
surprise.
before?
No, hit it.
No?
Yep.
All right. Well, so this is a little off the books. This wasn't in the outline, but I just kind of thought of it as the conversation started. I want to highlight a little bit because we talk about everyone, within Deliver That, but we kind of like to get into their personal lives a little bit so people get a better feeling of like who they are outside of work as well. So as of, I'm going to butcher like the dates here, but the past few months, I'll say, to give myself a baseline, you pop the question.
Pop the question.
You pop the question.
The most nervous I've ever been in my life was, I'll say that.
So you're planning a wedding currently, I believe, for the end of this year, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
No.
November 6th.
Oh, I didn't get the invite yet.
Yeah, you're not.
They're still coming.
Oh,
they're still coming.
He's not coming. But no, I wanted to maybe get down. We don't have to get like deep into your family situation or anything like that, but being back in a position where you have a career that you can afford to, propose, put yourself in a position where you recently moved into a new house as well. You're providing for a daughter and
you got a dog
and Grace, you have a dog. So like all these things, you're in a comfortable position with a great company who can afford you these things now. Is there anything you want to touch on with that we can just, kind of back and forth about?
No, man, I'm thankful. I'm truly thankful. Like Ben was alluding to, I do have a fiance. We got engaged in January of 2022. We have a daughter. She actually just turned 11 this past week. So shout out to Grace. Dog as well. But no, I really think, working here, not to get too sappy, but it's made me a better person, better worker, boyfriend, father, all that good stuff. And I know I say it all the time. We have something called the winners meeting. Have you guys ever talked about the winners meeting out here before?
Yeah, I think I've referenced it a few times. I think we talked about it on Christians Meet the Team maybe. So people might not be too familiar with with it. But yeah, we can talk
Awesome.
about it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, our winners meeting is kind of where we try to get our leadership team here together once a week, and we read a book, kind of recap it, say how we all feel, etc. But the way that everybody opens up in there, it allows for everybody to learn a little bit more about each person in that room every week. We open up, everybody kind of lets their guards down a little bit. But I think that can kind of attribute a lot to this as well, to really putting into perspective, why I wake up and come to work every day, why I do the things in my life that I do every day. And I guess the easy answer to that is it always resorts back to my family.
Yeah. It's very, it brings authenticity to your life. Like, it's not a robotic thing where you come to work, you have a purpose in your job, you have a purpose in your life, and everything bleeds into one another. And I think that's, I think that meeting, like you said, is one of the greatest ways to put that into perspective.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, we can end on that note. I did just want to say, not to get too sappy again, but I think, when you grow up, you have friends in high school, you have friends in college, and then you kind of get your career, your job, and you have like work friends, that you like talk to at work every day and like you hang out with at work. But personally, Kody has become someone, I'm texting him on the weekends. We're hanging out on the weekends.
Really? Wow.
Obviously not including you. We bond over the UFC, a lot of football, a lot of sports gambling, bet responsibly. So I just want to say, I appreciate you outside of work as well. You've become someone I can lean on, with personal things that are going on in my life, business, work, and, familial issues. So I just really appreciate having you and being able to have created this relationship, not only within this workspace, but also now outside of it. So thank you for that.
No, and I reciprocate that, man. Thank you guys as well, man. And it's kind of funny as I sit down and I try to work out my wedding list, man, and it's like I need my family here, right? I need my DT family here with me to celebrate. So can't wait to do that with you guys as well, and I'm very appreciative of your friendships.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We do got to close out. I don't know if you watch the podcast at all, but we got to close it out, and I usually like the guests to do it. So I'll instruct you on how to do it, but then you got to do it yourself. So you just got to give me a point to the screen, let the people know ideliverthat.com/podcast. They can submit their questions. They can submit to be a guest, and they can even submit to be onboarded as a driver on the platform. So let them know ideliverthat.com/podcast. And what can they do with the link?
You guys got the link right here at the bottom of the screen. It's ideliverthat.com/podcast. Like, subscribe, and share if I got that one correctly.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share it.
Where you guys can share it. You can request to be on the podcast. You can apply to be a driver. Tell everybody, share it, and we're happy to keep doing this for you guys.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Another one in the books. Thanks, Kody.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.